Good evening, everyone. My name is Elliot Nguyen. I'm a full-time MBA student and also the president of the MBA Finance Club. It is my pleasure to be your MC tonight. We have a very fruitful program tonight with a panel of alumni who are founders and experts in the FinTech space. They will also be sharing their industrial experience and insight into the industry. Without further ado, may I invite Professor Kar-Yan Tam, Dean of HKUST Business School, to give us a welcome remark.
Well, welcome again and good evening to our alumni and also students who are our potential alumni. This is really a great event. I was told by Yvonne that we have over 100 alumni and students registered for it. I think FinTech is really a hot topic, so that's attracting so many of you coming. Now, I'm not going to give a long speech, but I would really like to take this opportunity to share with you some of the development of the business school. I try to attend as many alumni events as possible, but unfortunately I missed a number of them in the past few months. So I must insist that in this event I would like to spend maybe 5-10 minutes to share with you what's going on in the business school going forward. So I have the PowerPoint, So don't worry, it's not going to be a long speech, So ranking, right? How many of you are aware of the ranking again? You got bored, right? So over the last few weeks, the EMB ranking came out. We ranked number 1 again. How many of you are EMBA alumni here? Clare.AI program. Great. The business school also ranked quite high. This is the Times Higher Education University ranking is ranked number 1 in Asia. But I'm sure some of you are aware that last week we have another ranking coming from Economist. How do we rank according to that ranking? We rank 97 in the world. So a little bit of confusing, right? So 2 weeks ago we ranked number 1, ranked number 1 again, and then last week we ranked number 97. So, I mean, we take note of the ranking. It's very important, but it won't drive our plan and strategy and vision going forward. We take note of the different ranking, but I think what matters to us is to deliver a quality education at the undergrad, MBA, and EMBA level. So, I guess I just skip this one. So, what are the priority areas of the business school in the next few years? This is one. We are going to launch a new EMBA program with the Skolkovo School of Management in Moscow. And this partnership will allow us to enter the market in Euro-Asia, Central Asia, and CIS. Kind of fall nicely into the Belt and Road Initiative. The Skolkovo School of Management is a private business school with strong support from the government and also the industry. The advisory board is actually chaired by the Prime Minister of Russia. So I have the privilege to sign that MOU in the residence of the Prime Minister a year ago. And then I think 2 weeks ago, a delegation, including our previous dean, Professor Casey Chan, we went to Skolkovo to finalize all this arrangement. So the EMBA program will be launched in fall next year. So it's the first EMBA program targeted in Central Asia, Eurasia, with a Belt and Road focus. So we'll give you more details later on once we have more information. FinTech, well, this event is all about FinTech. FinTech is a priority development area of the business school. We form a working group consists of almost 20 faculty members from different departments. They all have an interest in FinTech. We are going to launch a Master of Science degree jointly with the School of Science and Engineering on FinTech, perhaps also a minor. The target date is next year, around next year. Very ambitious plan, okay, but we give it a try. We also submit a large-scale proposal to the government to establish FinTech as a focus area in terms of research of HKUST Business School. There's also a couple of seminars. In fact, we have a number of seminars here on FinTech during lunch or even breakfast. I'm sure some of you have attended some of these seminars. So we really want to do something in FinTech through our education programs, our research. So if you have any interest in collaborating with the faculty, please do let us know later on. So we are very interested in working with you. Entrepreneurship and idea incubator. This is another priority development area of the business school. How many of you have visited the new LSK building? Okay. How many of you actually went up to the roof? Yeah, a few of you. Okay. Now I show this picture here. Okay, this is the south section of the 7th floor. Okay, so if you go up to the roof, okay, and you get out from the elevator, okay, I think you turn left, go through the door. Okay, this is the rooftop, okay, and this is the place that maybe some of our MBA students have some event here, okay? But no more next year, because this place will be converted into an incubator. So our students, in the business school, working with students in science, engineering, undergrad, MBA. So they would, if they're interested in turning their ideas into prototype, into proof of concept systems, artifact even. So this is the place, they will spend 6 months, 9 months, or a year. So there's a lot of grassroots interest in FinTech, in big data application, and the students need a place to put their ideas into prototypes. Okay. So we provide them with a space here, and we already start to look for a design firm, how to renovate this place, which is a pretty good space. Okay. So space is precious asset at HKUST, and this is the most precious footprint. And we decided to turn this into an incubator because we believe that this is something our students want, and this also aligned with our focus on entrepreneurship and innovation. Okay. So, for the MBA events next year, I think we need to find some other places. So, okay, so that's it. So, any questions? Any comments from you? Okay. Eager to listen to the speakers, right? Okay, no, I stop here, and I probably stay behind for a few minutes because I'm going to the airport. After this. Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Right. Thank you, Professor Tam. Professor Tam, may I ask you to actually go up on stage for a moment? Yeah, so as a token of our appreciation for the alumni speakers, we're going to ask you, Professor Tam, maybe you can present with them a special gift from us. So may I invite Mr. Sam Lee to come on up? Miss Bianca Ho. Mr. Jonathan Lee. and faculty moderator, Professor Kai-Lung. And can I ask all speakers to come up for one group photo? Thank you very much. Now let's welcome our first alumni speaker, Sam Lee from Ethereum, to share with us his story.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean Tam. Thank you, everybody. It's an honor for me to be here. I can see a lot of interest in FinTech. So today I'm going to share what I'm doing. I hope you find it interesting. So FinTech, today's topic is FinTech in Hong Kong, opportunity and challenges, right? So my name is Sam. I have been in the tech industry for 20 years. Actually in early 2016, so I start to move into this so-called FinTech area, at the time starting with the cryptocurrency, because there's really many areas in FinTech. That's where I start. All right, I'm not going to bore you with the long profile. So I am the co-founder of Ethereum South China and South Asia now. For those who understand Ethereum, there's Ethereum Foundation. We are with the community side, which is in parallel with the foundation. So the foundation is in Switzerland doing the R&D, and we are the promoter of the technology, promoting adoption and support. I'm also co-founder of CoinStreet Asia. So you can probably imagine the name, Wall Street, CoinStreet. So we are more of the cryptocurrency service provider. I can elaborate a little bit more. And I'm advising some of the so-called ICO project now. I have been involved in the industry for 20 years. So starting from the dot-com 1999. So I just want to do a little bit of survey here because FinTech is a big area, and so understand the audience a little bit. Okay, so let me see a raise of hand who have experienced the dot-com period. Okay, so we see some hands. I understand it's a very young audience, which is fine. You know, because the dot-com have some, special things to remember, which is applicable today as well, but that's fine. Okay, how about FinTech? Let me understand who is from the finance industry. It's about 10, 15. Who is from the tech industry? Okay, another 15. Who is from the FinTech industry? You see, here's the opportunity right there, right? It's a very new area because we are talking about combining two very different industries before, and now it's one. Okay, well, okay. Who know about blockchain? Like heard about Ethereum, Hyperledger, Ripple, Stellar Network? Good, okay, so we have some background. So blockchain is basically, in a simplest form, it's a distributed ledger technology, right? So basically, if you're in accounting, you have ledger book. It's distributed. You might have experienced distributed application starting from, if you remember, the Napster time when people downloading music from the network, BT, BitTorrent. Those are the early days of decentralized application. Of course, now it's more sophisticated, right? But blockchain is on the public chain, and all this record is in a block and connected through a cryptographic technologies, right? So we can elaborate a little bit if you're interested later. And cryptocurrency, anybody have invested in any kind of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin? Ether coin. Okay, so we get less, right? So you can see, right? This is very new area, right? You get less and less, but this is actually you get deeper and deeper now, right? Cryptocurrency. And once you have the cryptocurrency, and we are talking about crypto economics. So this might be a new subject that Dean Tam mentioned in the future, the FinTech program. So apart from the traditional microeconomics and macroeconomics, there might be a new subject of token economics or cryptocurrency economics in the future. Professor is laughing, so he's probably preparing the curriculum already, right? So about ICO and tokenization, this new type of digital currency. Okay, good. Okay, so a little bit more background about Ethereum. So it's a type of blockchain technology. So mentioned earlier, blockchain technology is a block that is in a decentralized network and connected with cryptographic, right? You probably heard about mining. Who heard about minings, right? You heard about minings all the time, right? Bitcoin mining. Mining is a computer network that's compute a new block, right? For example, Bitcoin, by the technology, is about 10 minutes per block. So within this 10 minutes, all the miners around the world is competing with the competing power to get that block. Whoever gets the block will be rewarded by Bitcoin, right? It's that simple. And why they have to compete to get the block? Because it's a decentralized network. Everybody have to have a consensus. What record, transaction record, goes into that block within the 10 minutes. So it's public, the chain is on the network, everybody can see. So that's why you cannot hack it, because every computer have to recognize it, right? So that's mining. So Ethereum is one kind of blockchain technology created by Vitalik Buterin in 2013. In 2015, is officially released to the market. It is one of the, it's not the earliest actually, but is the first most significant ICO at the time. ICO is initial coin offering, is they make the tokens out of the blockchain. And the token is called Ether, right? So Bitcoin is one of the cryptocurrencies, and Ether is another. At the time, pre-sale at 2014 is 30 cents US dollars. If you go online, you can check today's, the price is $300, right? I'm not trying to promote buying a cryptocurrency, but I'm just trying to show you the facts, okay? And of course, there's a big crypto economics behind, which we can go in later if you are interested. And I'm now setting up Ethereum South China and South Asia, actually with my partner, Jihan, which Dean Tam also know, together. So in July this year, we launched Shenzhen. And after that, now we are in Macau, Guangzhou, Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia. So this is more a community. This is the event. It's actually launched in the HKUST Shenzhen campus. At the time, it was 400. If you can see, like people actually sitting on the stairs, standing back, is a great event. More about Ethereum. As I mentioned, it's a public chain. So this chain is circulating out there. Everybody can see. Everybody can check. The wallet, all this token information. As of today, because this is live, right? It's changing as we speak now. As of today, I get this number, 12:10 in the afternoon. The number of blocks, remember I talked about blocks, on the Ethereum chain is 4.45 billion, right? On the public chain, block after block. Around all this block, it is supporting over 6,000 smart contracts now. Okay, what is smart contract? Smart contract is like a contract, right? If you imagine that everybody probably know about LC, right? Letter of credit in the bank, right? When you're doing like textile trading, whatever you do at the bank, in the middle, issue an LC, and whoever present the LC, but the bank will pick on the LC, say, hey, this letter, you have one typo, so they reject you, right? So is everybody's under the mercy of the bank. So smart contract is between two parties establishing the contract, and everything is put on the public blockchain, right? And when the contract execute, it's all being executed automatically. So this is the smart contract. Is real company behind. You can say there's 6,000 applications out there now using Ethereum to issue the smart contract. And later on, we have another speaker, Jonathan. They are one of them using the smart contract on Ethereum. Out of the 6,000 smart contracts, there are now 74 million transactions already, right? Decentralized nodes could be as small as a computer, and it could be a supercomputer. It's the decentralized nodes that basically calculating and supporting the public chain. And again, miners. Well, worldwide, there's like 66,000 miners now in doing Ethereum. Average block times, this is interesting. As you can see, average is 34 seconds, right? We heard about Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is actually, in my personal opinion, an obsolete technology. Blockchain is dot years, right? Who have a dogs at home? No? Dogs? Dogs is like 1 year is equal to 7 years of human, right? So blockchain, if you think about it, Bitcoin is a technology from 2009. Up to now is almost 10 years, right? If Bitcoin, the technology, because you cannot change it, this is out there. 10 minutes per block is really too long, right? So Ethereum cut it down to 34 seconds. This is even too long. Now there's technologies talking about 1 second, 10,000 transactions, right? If you look at the actual payment network, say Visa, the Visa is at a standard of 1 second, 20,000 transactions. So until we reach there, we cannot really competing with existing payment technology we are using every day. There's still some way to go, but we'll get there very, very quickly. Okay, so Constreet Asia is a full spectrum crypto business services. We offer investment strategy, like subscribing the ICO, like you're subscribing the new stock, right? You're familiar with. Long short future strategy. Crypto economic consultancy is when company want to do their own ICO or token issuing. So we provide business modeling, utility consulting services. Token sales campaign is when they issue a coin. We will do consultancy service of how to issue the marketing and the listing on the exchange, right? One of the more popular exchange in Hong Kong is Gatecoin. Some of you might be using it. Those are one of the exchange, right? So we will help to list the token on the exchange. And also on the technology side, we do blockchain technology consultancy from technical design and development work. Some of the clients we're currently advising, including Gibraltar Blockchain Exchange. Some of the alumni have went to the event we held in FinTech Week last Wednesday. So Gibraltar is an interesting place. Who know about Gibraltar? Yeah, 1, 2, yeah, not too many people. It's a very small place. It's just like Hong Kong, but in Spain. Why I say that? Because 300 years ago, UK go to Spain and take this place at the very tip of Spain. It's called Gibraltar. But the only difference is they never return to Spain, right? Hong Kong returned to China. So Gibraltar, as of today, is within Spain, but it still belongs to UK, right? So, but Gibraltar have stock exchange. They are trying to be the most innovative jurisdiction now to launch their own blockchain exchange. Basically, it's a legalized ICO platform plus exchange, right? Some of you following the news of the ICO, you might notice say China have banned ICO and some certain country have sort of banned ICO, which is one side of the camp. But we see now the trend is another side of the camp, like Japan, right, is very progressive, like Gibraltar. They're very progressive. They come out, instead of ban, they will try to do this properly, right? So we see this is a trend that is kind of irreversible, but just more countries need to get used to it and formulate regulation around it to have to do it properly. So another company we advise, some of you might be more familiar, is someone in Hong Kong. It's called GetCoin. Right? GetCoin is a company based in Hong Kong aiming to disrupt the 130 years old coupon industry by using crypto-based coupon. Right? Imagine we all have coupons, right? The coupon, if you don't use, is no value. So what they're trying to do is they put the coupon into cryptocurrency and you can trade. Right? Imagine if you're in Starbucks, a lot of the time, you don't have the Starbucks coupon with you. You probably have the Pacific Coffee. Oops, wrong coupon. Right? But if you can take out your phone and you trade in your Pacific Coffee coupon with Starbucks coupon at the spot, so that will give you some utilities. That's what they try to do. The last company, well, actually not last, but last on here, is a company called Gold Mint out of Singapore. So they're trying to, because now many people say, okay, this cryptocurrency have no value because it's just digital, it's virtual, it's very abstract. So another trend, what the company is doing now is they sort of going for a direction of so-called assets-backed token. So the token is backed by real asset. In this case, it's gold. Right? There are other examples that the token is backed by real estate, some is backed by bonds. But of course, for example, the SFC in Hong Kong, they issue a statement, if the token is too much look like a security, it will fall into the security regulation. Right? So this is more likely the trend, but it doesn't mean it's end, because we can still do it properly like a security. Right? The people is like, oh, security, but it doesn't matter. You can do it as a security, properly. Right? There are many licensed firms in Hong Kong, license number 1, number 4, number 9. They can do securities. Right? So this will be, I think, the next trend of tokenization on securities. And we're looking for interns. So if anybody is interested, you can talk to me. The company is growing, is a growing area. Okay, so that's so much about us. Just a couple of slides, right? Financial industry today. This is what it is. Seriously, you think about it. When you put on your ATM card on the ATM and get your money, it looks easy, right? Do you know what's going on after? Behind the scene? The card, your ATM, first of all, have to look at your card and to find out the issuing bank, right? Because your ATM will be the acquiring bank. And go for a network. Many of you might notice there's logo on top of the ATM. There's, Interact, Union Pay, a lot of the network. Go for different networks, find out the issuing bank, and then come back. So it's a lot of intermediates behind, right? Basically, nobody trusts anybody. They just trust the middleman. And there's more than one middleman and more than one system, right? You think about it today, if you're sending money, I'm sending money to you through a Hong Kong bank online banking. I'm not actually sending you money. And you're not receiving my money. You just receive a notice from Hong Kong bank, right? Where's the money? The money is always in the bank. It just moves between the database, right? I'm not sending you money. But why cryptocurrency is so much different? Because actually I'm sending you a string of number that represent the asset. Once I send it to you, I don't have it anymore. You don't have to trust anybody in the middle, because all the record is on the public chain, as I mentioned, that you can check. Everybody can check. So this is the power of blockchain. And Bitcoin launched the blockchain application since 2009, and after so many years, it has been proven it's not hackable. People try to hack it, it's not hackable. You read many news from many news is about the exchange being hacked. It's not the blockchain technology being hacked. It's just the wallet. People, the Bitcoin got stolen, but they cannot create counterfeit money, right? Only the miners can create Bitcoin based on a consensus system. And in the future, we think financial industry will be decentralized. There will be still intermediate, but I think the number of intermediate might be shortened, right? Instead of maybe 5, then down to 1 or 2. Hong Kong, FinTech for Hong Kong, opportunities. This might sound very mainstream, but it's actually true, right? A good financial ecosystem, deep skill and knowledge. This is all the good things about Hong Kong. Free capital movement, you know, billions of dollars in and out, no question asked. Right? We might used to it and not aware the advantage of this, but if you go to other countries, this is not the case. It's really very unique. Very international networks, right? Today we have people from many different countries and origins. Legal framework, right? Very important in Hong Kong. A great geolocation, gateway to China, One Belt, One Road. We got central government support. This is really very good opportunities. It looks like advantage, but all these advantage create opportunities, right? But on the other hand, the challenge is a small local market, right? Faced it, FinTech, anything related to technology, R&D require economy of scale, right? A small market is difficult to do. So you might notice like more and more now we're adopting product from China, right? Because they have a big R&D space, right? Huawei, why they do so well on the phones, right? Because it's all numbers game, right? Capital for startup and tech company, the VC industry in Hong Kong is not exactly the real VC we see in Silicon Valley, right? Because some of you who do startup, you may have experience, you go to VC, first thing they ask you, are you making money? If I'm making money, I'm not going for VC, right? So it's different, right? Slow adoption, this is true, right? I recently, in China, went to convenience store, tried to get a bottle of water, holding up a renminbi. I look like really outdated person. Everybody is using the phone, right? Do you notice renminbi this day looks very new, right? Before it's all like crumpy and broken because nobody uses it now. It's all electronic money, right? But for us, too bad, we are still with the octopus era faced it, right? There's a lot of promotion. You see Apple Pay, Android Pay. How many people used it? We still at the octopus period, right? Talents is somewhere that's very important, and I'm very glad that HKUST is thinking about FinTech program. This is really a big area that can help Hong Kong. Government support, Hong Kong is good. I'm not saying government support is no good, but it's all comparatively speaking. If you compare to Korea and Singapore, their government support is better. I just put it that way, right? So this is something, is now a global race, not just Hong Kong, it's global competition. Okay, next step, 7-Up. So what are we gonna do? Is it too complicated? We just go for drinks and forget about it? No. I actually have some suggestions, 7-Ups for you to consider, right? First, cheer up, right? Don't think about, oh, I'm late, you know, wow, the Bitcoin, I could have bought it in $50, now it's like 5,000, you know, everybody's in FinTech, I'm late. No. All of us is at the very early stage of the FinTech revolution. Why I asked the first question, who have experienced .com? We are in 1999 of the dot-com. Okay, let's put it that way, right? I joined the first diploma of e-commerce program in HKUST because at the time the curriculum is too new, they cannot make an MBA program yet, and was taught by Professor Kai-Lung Hui, right? So we are at that period now, right? And second, shut up. Why shut up? Because you really have to listen. Don't pretend to be an expert. It's very easy to know something, read some article, and you're expert because none of your peers know about this. I guarantee you, 95% of the people is not really into this yet. But really try to learn, right? There's so much to learn. It's changing every day. I'm learning every day, right? And of course, then you read up. There's a lot to read. It's open space. Now it's information everywhere. You go online. There's a lot of information to catch up. And meetup. Who have been to meetup? One? Okay. Tonight, I give you a homework. Go home. You type www.meetup.com, right? It's a portal that you can find all kind of meetup. It's mostly free. It's people with the same hobbies, same interests, and you will find a lot of meetup in Hong Kong, right? Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hyperledger, anything you can think of, right? Even fishing, of course, other hobbies, bowling and eating as well, right? But you can really find a lot of interesting meetup group there. Join one of the meetup group, right? Meet some people and team up, right? It's FinTech. It's about combining different industry, right? Financial, technology, payment, e-commerce. You need to know about other industry, right? And after that, I would suggest, hey, it's life. Let's do a startup, right? So we have an entrepreneurship program in HKUST. So Jonathan done a startup, so it's a very good path to try, right? And then at last, buckle up. It's a fast industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. Very insightful. Our second speaker, Bianca Ho, she's a very popular speaker amongst artificial intelligence. Bianca?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming on a Monday night. I know this might not be your most favorite activity, especially after all the Halloween festivities. Myself, my name's Bianca. I'm Clare.AI's co-founder. Actually, both of our co-founders are from HKUST, so we have very strong bonds. So it's Ken Young, and he's graduated earlier than I did. Yeah, so we have really strong bonds with HKUST. We also have a lot of our team members also from HKUST. So again, we're very grateful for HKUST having nurtured so many talents, interns, people who work with us on a daily basis, also from UST. Anyways, I'll tell you a bit more about where we stand in FinTech and why we are kind of in this FinTech circle. Why does it matter to all of you? So we build AI interaction management systems, and actually a lot of the financial institutions, like insurers, asset managers, use us as one of their communication tool with their end users. And we're not as, in Bitcoin or in Ethereum or in a more, say, like a financial transaction, but all we do is a conversational layer that sits on top of any banks communicating with their end users. So what we really try to attack, the problem, really look at it is, does anyone like to wait? So I'm just going to ask that question here and see what you guys think. Okay, I see very disapproving faces, and I don't either, and I'm glad we're on the same page. And the important thing is what we want to really address is, one, there's really high incoming call volume in call centers. It's a very painful industry. People don't stay there for a very long time. People switch quite a lot. There's a high training cost that's associated with call centers. The second part is where they see automation right now is IVRs. And IVRs, as all of you know, it's a painful, painful experience. Again, press 1, press 2, you just don't want to listen to it. Sometimes you space out. And then the next thing is you forget which number to to press, and you need to press again. So IVR is really painful for banks. As an automation tool, it's not really doing a lot. And there's also poor IVR design. To update an IVR, it actually takes a lot of time, a lot of money for banks, so they don't like that as well. And finally, it's to us, I think, to the end user. It's a poor customer experience. The average handle time is really high. So it's very kind of industry specific where we see finance. And the reason why we choose finance, I think I'll kind of dig into more in details, but finance actually has one of the most high number of inquiries. So that is why we chose finance as an industry to start with. And in short, we empower financial institutions to have a consistent and reliable conversation at scale. And when we say consistent, right, I think, we look at costs, and that's a huge equation in any industry, any things we do on a daily basis in business. And the important thing is, when you see if you can outsource this through a BPO, go to India, or go to some low-cost like Bangladesh, low-cost countries, and then you can outsource this. And where we, kind of mentioned this alternative to our clients, they don't like it. And I think the main reason is because the consistency is not there. So for example, the training becomes difficult, the communication becomes difficult, even with these people who represent your business, and you would get complaints that they need to handle a lot more than what they had to go through in terms of training an AI system. The other part of why people want to use us is because there's an Asian language aspect. So we work with a lot of the regional insurers, banks, in order to roll out to multiple countries at once. And what they want is really a consistent user interface, a consistent tone of voice across all different businesses. And I'll dig more into why finance. This is just high-level things. So what our product really is there's a multi-channel part where each country, like Asia countries specifically, would have their own messaging systems. And where we see in Asia also, right, like I studied in the US, and part of it is also, in US, people don't really message as much. They use iMessage primarily. In Asia, literally every single country I go, there's one single new messaging system that I need to download. Right? If I go to China, I need to download WeChat. If I go to Japan, I need to download Line. In Japan, interestingly, people don't use LinkedIn as much. They use Facebook as a professional communication. So I find it quite different in terms of how we interact with people, but that's what the culture is. And then we also power different Asian languages, and finally there's a backend that controls all of that. And I think for companies, what we've seen extremely important is, one, they want to reap the benefits of artificial intelligence. And where our artificial intelligence lies in the natural language processing part, where our engine would understand when you ask different questions, and if it is with the same FAQ, then it would understand it maps with the same question. So we've done a lot of benchmark tests as to how accurate we are. And one of our core products, obviously, is Cantonese. We can handle mixed language. And also, we can do it in a faster manner, as well as with more correct answers. And this comparing to other public channels out there. And this is bare-bone comparison. So it doesn't even add on to what we've done in training. And this data set is available for public. So if you want to kind of ask more details, I'll be able to get into that conversation offline. But let me tell you a bit more about why finance is specifically important. And we look at the same set of language. If you say, buy me an apple, and you look at going to a bank, it probably means an actual stock. But when you go to a supermarket, it means an actual fruit. They would ask you if you want a red one, if you want a green one, and you're like, no, I want the stock itself. And then the third one, if you go to, say, electronics store, then it becomes, an actual electronic device. And I think that is extremely important for us to focus on specific sectors, and that's precisely why we chose finance. One, it has a lot of data, and two, also, this is a very obviously, say, language example with finance. And our features are quite a lot. There's live chat, there's portfolio inquiries, there's promotion, general inquiries. But I think, where we see the opportunity in FinTech is actually a lot of this is moving to automation. So with a lot of the clients we talk to on a daily basis, there's a lot of RPA that's involved. And all they need is really to use a chatbot as a front layer. And then in the back, they would connect to different databases. They would connect to different quotations. It would do a lot of different actions. But what I think chatbot is essentially the front. It is, just the conversation bit. And then the logic, we usually partner with a lot of people. So say we partner for Brainbird for a lot of logic decisioning, Automation Anywhere or UiPath for RPAs, like robotic process automation. Some of the robo-advisors we work with as well, so they would provide like advice or portfolio advice, suitability, to do it in an engaging way through a conversational interface. So where we've seen is that people have really high expectations, and especially when it comes to this chatbot area, people do have negative vibes around it. At times, I think it's a lot of the high expectations set by financial institutions, right? Because they're like, our customers are pretty difficult to handle. They complain a lot, and I think it's extremely true with how Hong Kong is not as fast as in terms of adopting to technologies. People would be doubtful. So where we have kind of like taken a dab at it, working on this on a daily basis, is that we start really, really small with pilots. So for example, for our live clients, we started with a pilot on a subpage of their entire website. And then we can say add on additional engagements or additional functionality to the bot, whereby people would understand, okay, this is how you train it. This is the required effort. This is a real channel that they would be facing in the future, and this is worth the extra investment. And I think in AI, again, it's an extra investment, right? Like, why do people want to work on this on a daily basis, spend so much project management resources in terms of rolling this out? So where we've seen more success, say, if you had a FinTech idea in mind, the important thing is really to push through it a pilot or a small enough POC that your company is able to then expand. So that's where we've seen a lot more success. So we have a couple POCs going on. We have one that has been completed and rolled out to production. So we're happy to discuss that a bit more in the panel. So so this is our experience in FinTech and generally powering financial institutions. Working with them is painful. For anyone who is thinking of that, it is extremely painful as a process. I can't tell you how complicated it is, how long it takes. But again, I think I'll cover more of that juicy details in the panel discussion. So I'll leave it for the other speakers to start first.
Thank you, Bianca. Last but not least, our third alumni speaker, Jonathan Lee. He's the co-founder of 300 Qubits, and he's going to be coming forward to share his story with us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So I share a lot of comments from Bianca. It's very interesting. I work in the banks for 20 years. Sam is in technology. I'm in financial industry. I graduate, actually I'm the first batch of finance student in the HKUST undergraduate. So when I was in the HKUST, it was still a construction site, nothing really there. Okay. And then, so then I've been working in the financial industry for 23 years. So Bianca just said that, okay, that the finance or the banking industry is really hard to really work. I agree entirely on that. When I was in the management of the a bank just next door, 2 buildings away, so then I asked some technology vendor to showcase me their products. Usually they had to come at least 10 times because after I have seen it, so my boss from Geneva coming over, and they will ask you to, oh, show it again. So then my boss is coming over. So then I chose to leave the financial industry because, like what she said, AI is going to taking over that the human, and then that the jobs in the financial industry will be getting less and less. So then I decided to, okay, so why wouldn't I say jump out of the box? I left the bank and then tried to do some startups in the FinTech area. So interestingly, I left my my firm about a year ago, and then I came up with a lot of different ideas. So one of the ideas is doing the same thing as Bianca, but then I was less good as her, so then I decided to go for another route. The interesting thing then, I am more like Sam, so I connected him in his Shenzhen Ethereum forum. So the first day I met him. So this is how we connected. So I am doing something very interesting, combining the finance and technology. So we have the most popular works, the finance. I am from the banking industry. My partner, Johnson, is also the first graduate from the HKUST. He was in the biology. But then he's got a very interesting career. He was the intern for a shipping liner, Maersk, the world biggest. After that, he went into the banking industry, being that the research analyst for the shipping industry for the last decade. So then I was, interestingly, then I actually worked in the bank from different segments. So I mainly, my expertise was in treasury. Is in treasury. I was a treasurer. I was a treasurer of a private bank, overseeing the Hong Kong and Singapore with a team of 20 people working for me before I do the startup. So then that I am a specialist in the fiat currency, and then my partner Johnson is the specialist in shipping industry. So then after we've been decided a midlife crisis. So what do we do next? Okay, so we take it positively. We want to start our second half of our career, or second half of our life, in order to tackle, to face the AI challenge. Okay, so then we came up with different ideas, like that the chatbot, Bianca is doing. However, we think that we are not good at that. So then what we really want to do is to make a business model which is actually fit for our previous experience. So my previous experience, it's in it's in fiat currency. My partner is in shipping. So then we combine it together, form the 300 qubits. I don't know whether anyone understands 300 qubits meaning. Okay, so none of you is from Christian or Catholic then. So it's the length of the Noah's Ark in, okay. So we find that the shipping industry is having a problem, a long-lasting problem, and then that the shipping industry is actually losing money for quite a long time, for more than a decade or so. So then we have identified a pain point in the industry. So then we wanted to combine that the latest technology and our business idea to resolve the pain point of the industry. So what is it? Let's see. Okay, so this is something we call booking issue, or we call it a ghost booking issue in the shipping industry. So if you have experience of booking an air ticket, you have to pay for the air ticket, and then if you don't show up, you will get penalty. And then, however, in the container shipping industry, it's different. You just need to say, I want to book a shipment from Hong Kong, say to Long Beach. Just say, I just want to book it. And then if you don't show up, there's no penalty at all. And you know that the ship liner, the carrier, they are not idiots. So they understand that you won't show up, they will overbook. So it then become a chance that if you book, you will not be able to get on board for your shipments. So then what's the problem of not getting on time? So you have potentially loss of your sales. For example, upcoming Thanksgiving and Christmas, if you miss the shipment, so you will lose up a lot of, say, sales. And the And the carrier, of course, they will also like, if they ship with empty boxes, they will also lose capacity, the sunk cost. So then the New Jersey Institute of Technology and Hapag-Lloyd, one of the biggest ship liner, estimate that it's around 23 billion wastage per annum for this. So then, okay, so the shipping industry is actually a very big industry. They employ like 450,000 people worldwide. How couldn't they resolve this problem? Okay, so then people are thinking about like different way of resolving that. So they may try to say impose like penalty for that. And then because if you understand that the industry well, they are like oversupply now. So then if they are going to say charge, cash penalty, people will just walk away and go into other ship liner to ship their products. So then they have like considered another alternative. It's called bank guarantee or cash deposit. But then all of those initiatives require injection of capital into the system. But nobody is willing to do that. And some people wanted to say charge the social penalty. So one of the liner tried to do that, but then they fail because all their customers walk away and then to the other ship liners. So then because you know that our laws is so strict now, so then they have antitrust law. So they can't just get together, okay, let's try to, let's say, impose the cash penalty right away together. They cannot. So then one of the ship liner tried to do that, but then they fail. They just lose all their business. Eventually, they gave up. And then they have like other solution of cash deposit and bank guarantee. But these are just the initial idea, but then it involves cost. Okay, so how do we tackle this? Okay, so then we use the concept of the cryptocurrency. Sam is the expert in the cryptocurrency. I was inspired by him. So then we think about, okay, in creating the cryptocurrency, just a public ledger. So in creating a cryptocurrency, it does not require a lot of money. You need is expertise in creating the crypto money. You know, how many cryptocurrency is actually in the world now? We have over 1,000 cryptocurrency. So how can we stand out? So we definitely need to let people know about the cryptocurrency. We created a cryptocurrency called TEU. So what is TEU? TEU is the name of the unit of a container box. It's 20-foot equivalent. So then when we equivalent unit. So then when we decided the crypto, we call it TEU token. Sort of a shipping, container shipping industrial practitioner. Once they see TEU, oh, this is my words. So then they understand that this is the cryptocurrency for the shipping industry. So that's why we use 300 qubits. We use TEU. And then how do we actually create value? So like Bitcoin, we have a limited supply. So then we have 100 million of TEU token created. And then after that, we need to sell the cryptocurrency into the real world, so then to the crypto contributor. So then they will give the value of the crypto. For example, we are selling like 2 million, 2% of our total supply. So then if they give the value is say 10 cents, it will worth 200,000 US. And then subsequently, we sell another 80 million. So we are talking about selling 20% of our token into the world. For example, then final valuation is $1. So then the total value we created is not only the 20 million, but also the 80% left unsold. Okay, so I need to speed up. So then we have like 80 million of this value of the token kept in our pocket. How do we do it? We distribute this token to the industrial practitioner. Then we have two parties, remember? One is the carrier. They provided the ship. One is the one who wants to ship something. What they lack is a trust. However, if they want to build a trust, you have to pay deposit in order to secure the booking. So people will be compensated if they don't show up or if they don't allow your product to be shipped on board. So then we will give the token free of charge to them on condition that they have to keep this token in their pocket and using for the booking deposit for 2 years. So then we have like 80 million of like the value of token. We set aside like half of it, say 50 million, so 25 million will be given to the carrier and 25 million will be given to the shippers. So then we then actually create something, a capital injection to the market. So this is how we're going to like distribute to the 100 million of the token. So after creating that, so then we actually create a value creation and the value proposition. So first of all, we don't like say ask you to put money into the booking process. We create some crypto money. The people buy into our idea, so then they will give the market value of the token. In giving the money, the cryptocurrency into the shipping industry, we create a value injection. And then because of the value injection into the shipping industry, we found a actual day-to-day application of the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency is used to secure a booking of any like shipment. So then in the day-to-day, people are getting used to use the token for that. Okay, then we will have like more people understanding that the use of the cryptocurrency. If you ask me how to evaluate a Bitcoin, is it worth 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, or 5,000? We don't have any like financial model can evaluate. We cannot use discount cash flow model. We cannot do anything on that. However, it's more on the familiar of the people. It's the people knowing about this cryptocurrency is getting familiar, the value will go up. So then we are creating a currency which is adopted by one of the world's largest industries. So the people get to use it, we will create that the value going up. So then we are going to create a circle. So once the people adopt using this cryptocurrency, the value will go up. And in the meantime, then the value will feed it back to the crypto world. So then the currency will go up continuously. So that's the value proposition of what we are trying to do. We are just use a real life business case to give the value of the cryptocurrency. Unlike Bitcoin, you can consider it as a medium of, transfer, but then they don't really have anything underneath it to build up the value. We do have a very solid industry and a day-to-day application to make our token, our cryptocurrency, create a value. Okay, so how do we actually do it? It's the smart contract, what Sam mentioned, is built on Ethereum, so then it's a very simple like business logic. If a customer wanted to like say secure a booking, he will then say submit say 1,000 TU token in a smart contract. If the liner, the carrier, okay, he can be sure that he can like say submit the equivalent of a TU token in a smart contract. So they both submit it into the smart contract, and then we submit the smart contract will then hold the token for both parties. After that, so we go to the final result, whether that the customer show up or whether the cargo is loaded into the ship. So then we have the final outcome. If the liners default, if they cannot load the cargo, that the customer will get the token from the other end. The same applies. If they don't show up, that the liner will get the TU token, which is worth the money that I just mentioned. And then to be more fair, we won't rely on each of those to give the verdict. So we use the terminal electronic data interface, the signal from the terminal, to determine whether we should, like say, give the token back to one of them or both of them. So it depends on the final outcome. So this is how it works. Okay, seems to be very simple, but in the business world, it's not that simple because, for example, if you go back to the first page, we are talking about if we wanted to, let's say, ask people to change the behavior. If you don't give them incentive, you ask them to pay in real US dollar cash, or for Bitcoin you have to purchase it. Now then we have a very good solution is we give it to them free. So then they understand this token is worthwhile. So then if they are going to be good guy, they just keep their promise. They will get their token in their pocket. In future, they will be like say having that the free token exchange into fiat currency. Or most importantly, they don't care about, say, for example, 25 million is a small number for the shipping industry. They care more about is the ghost booking problem. If we can use that very simple solution to resolve the long issue been, say, haunting the industry for 10 years, I think it's a very good initiative. Okay, so how do we actually deliver that? So we have like the technology part. So we have like created use the foundation layer, use the Ethereum blockchain because they can host that the smart contract, and then we use this foundation, use the Ethereum blockchain, and then because of the people, we wanted to like ensure easy adoption. So we wanted to like make the ecosystem to be very like say simple or very easy for other people to adopt it. So then we have to build some user interface which will connect it to the blockchain itself. So they don't need to really say learn a lot from the very beginning to understand what blockchain is, what is the underlying mechanics. They just use the day-to-day user experience to implement this. So how do we connect them? We use the API, making sure that we are able to talk simply to our ecosystem. And also we will be doing something more easier, is that we don't need to like say rely on our UI. So the system, we talk about the solution is to secure booking. So if we have like say tried booking in the airline website, you can like say when you go check out, you will need to do some payments. So if you do payments, sometimes if the website is not equipped with the payment system, you will be directed out to another website for that. So then we are trying to do the very simplest way is to create a button just like the PayPal, and then they simply will direct the booking into our website, and then we secure that the token into our website. So then for them, it's just a day-to-day user experience. They simply use the TEU token to secure the booking, to resolve their issue, to resolve their ghost booking issue. So I think what we stand out most important is we don't need to be very sophisticated in the technology. However, still there's a sophistication. But then I think that most importantly, if we want to be successful in the FinTech, I think we need to really think about is whether we have a sound business model and how do we actually implement it in terms of adoption. So that's what we are trying to do here. Thank you very much.
Okay, I guess I have to start this panel. And I think after listening to the three of our alumni's very interesting ideas and sharing, I think I'm representing the mass here, trying to understand what you're doing and what kind of challenges that you have run into. And I think I would like to start with one very last slide that Sam has included, and he listed the challenges and opportunities that he considered the current situation in Hong Kong. One of the items that particularly caught my attention just now was legal framework, where Sam actually listed it under opportunities. I have my own doubt about this one. So I'm wondering if Bianca and John would have some insight about this one, because after all, you two are starting some new companies now. Legal framework is probably something that you are wondering as well. So would you like to maybe comment on this one?
Yes, of course. Legal is important, and I think where I have to say, like some other countries, as you say, are better in terms of providing more support. But I think the important thing is actually for legal framework not to have a lot of obscurity. And I think that's where Hong Kong is good at. Because when you don't have obscurity, it's much clearer for you to interpret. And of course, you do need professionals to help you with, but because without the obscurity, it doesn't have that many gray spaces. That means we have clearer guidelines to go by. I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's for us especially. We have to handle a lot of PII data, which is personal sensitive information. And when it comes to that, if you have clear guidelines around that, it's usually much easier to handle than one that doesn't have any guidelines. But that said, I have to say the protection on consumers is much more comparing to developing countries, right? Like developing countries, you can do a lot of things. I think my cousin gave me an example. So that day he was scrolling WeChat, reading a lot of news articles. And after 1 month, WeChat actually sent him a notification telling him 2 articles that he was reading is fake news. And I think that is, to me, that was quite shocking. And I think it's beautiful in the way where it did kind of detect what is fake, but it also tells a lot about what they have been reading, about what you're doing in the platform, even with news, right? So I think when it comes to regulatory frameworks, for us as a startup, it's easier. I think it's more, you can do a lot more if it's AI, especially when the data is not as restrictive. There isn't like data protection, PDPO, or other type of like those compliance. But there's also a good thing on the other end where there's a security per se that you would know how to interpret that. If you take it into more stringent manner, and then when you take that and then it's fine, then you know it can grow much bigger. Rather than after you invested so much money in it, one day it kind of bites you back and tell you this is no longer working as a business model.
Which has indeed happened in Hong Kong in some of the other startups.
Yeah, so I think that is an interesting kind of perspective from us in the front line. So I'll let Jonathan maybe add a bit more.
Yeah, I think it's a very painful process for us, actually. I think we are really into a new frontier that the regulator has never thought of it, especially in the blockchain area. But I'm saying that I'm so pleased to seeing that the regulators are being more merciful now. They created so-called the sandbox environment for a lot of the startups to say test try or to allow them to go into it. But you know that the regulators they have not yet really understood, or that when the law enactment, they have never came across this kind of like say new technology. So then the law itself cannot be simply like create a guideline for you to follow. So we in the very beginning when we kickstart the project, the money we spend most is to hire the legal counsel to give us some legal opinion. Even though then I doubt that whether these guys are very good at that, but at least they, you know that nobody has the knowledge at this. You know, I was in the bank for 20 years. I was the executive officer for the security and futures. I am the executive officer for the bank regulating the security dealing and advising. So then when I structured our TU token, I really thought about, if we structure like this, we would definitely be classified as security. So we just wanted to say change the business model in order not to touch that aspect. And then afterwards, we talked to the lawyer. The lawyer can actually like expand the idea with 2 sentences into 2 pages in 1 sentence. And then you don't know what they actually mean. But I would say that it's better to have the startup to really make sure that you have to do some like due diligence on the regulatory framework before you move ahead. Even though it's costly, but it's worthwhile. I doubt that the legal opinion you sought is correct or not. At least you have showed the regulator you have done your job. You have done your due diligence in making sure that you are trying to fulfill your regulatory responsibility at the very beginning.
So for the benefit of the audience, let me follow up on this point. You mentioned about right from the beginning when you started your company, you spent quite a lot of resources into legal clearance.
Yes.
If you don't mind, can you share actually roughly how many % are we talking about in terms of your initial expenses that you were spending on legal clearance?
I think over 60%.
Over 60%.
Yeah.
That's
pretty. Because we don't get paid.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay, now let me get back to Sam. So once again, still on the same point about legal framework. How would you compare Hong Kong with Gibraltar?
Okay. So maybe before I get into that, I'd like to elaborate a little bit. One of the reasons I put up legal framework as an advantage of Hong Kong is really a comparative statement, right, with other jurisdiction, right? Because end of the day is always a balance, right? A balance between the company and the consumer, an issuer and an investor, right? Like, I understand legal fees is high for setting up startup, and it costs more in another country, right? It's just part of the cost, right? And for example, if you look around, like the US, right, it looks like a very good legal system, very democratic, but they have class action, right? Meaning if you are a company, if one of your consumers sue you, they can represent 1,000 others to sue you. So it's a very high risk area for you to do business, right? If you go to other countries like Gibraltar, Gibraltar is interesting, is not like offshore jurisdiction, right? It's a smaller jurisdiction, but yet is EU and UK, right? So it's common law, right? So it's an interesting positioning, right? But I think in Hong Kong, the advantage of all the previous case and the common law and a lot of different companies practicing here, you really got the right balance of the worldwide practice, right? So, and there's also a very good system now with the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center, right? So we actually have arbitration path as compared to before it doesn't happen. And one of the very interesting element I noticed is now, like, everybody trying to do business with China, and of course nobody is willing to sign contract with China jurisdiction. It seems like Hong Kong is the middle ground. Like the same, for the Chinese company, they're not going to sign with you with a US jurisdiction. So a lot of the time, US company, European company, when they do business in China, guess what? They use Hong Kong jurisdiction as a compromise.
Very interesting. Okay, the next question I have is regarding opportunities. So I think Bianca has mentioned about the value that her company is trying to add is to reduce people's time. And I guess Jonathan's startup is to look at how we can reduce wastage. So in general, if you were to consider the opportunities in FinTech in Hong Kong right now, what would be the low-hanging fruits? Let me put it this way. What are the low-hanging fruits that you will be considering right now? Maybe we should start with Sam. What do you think?
Well, I will stick with what I know and understand more. I would say it's still the cryptocurrency, right? Because if you look deeper, the cryptocurrency is not just about speculation, right? People think it's Bitcoin, it's like 1,000x and all that. No, it's a new way of financing, right? I hope maybe in the future of the FinTech program of Hong Kong UST, or even just typical corporate finance subject in the future, there's actually people will study apart from equity financing, debt financing, and there will be token financing. We'll be seeing more and more company, traditional big company, not startup, coming into this space, issuing their own tokens as a financial, just like that, right? But it's not equity. It's not diluting the share base. But of course, you know, when they issue a tokens, they have to think about the token economics, what this token means, right? And how it works, how to distribute, right? All this. So I think, to me, I think the low-hanging fruit is token economics in Hong Kong.
Thank you. And I think this is an advertising spot to talk about my company again. How about I'll step back and I'll tell you why Hong Kong. And I think Hong Kong and Singapore are very comparable in many ways. And to us, Hong Kong is important. The reason why is because Hong Kong makes money. And you want to make money from people who make money, right? You don't really want to make money from people who don't make money. And I think that's a really big difference. So Hong Kong, for example, is 50% of the entire regional revenue for a lot of the banks. Insurers is still one of the regional hubs. So a lot of regional decisions are made here. And then local countries would roll out. So that's kind of our experience so far with Hong Kong as a hub And I think when we talk to investors, a lot of times they'll be like, Hong Kong is so small, why do you even bother kind of like being here? You know, in terms of our language as well, right? For my technology, I think that's more prevalent. But in terms of Hong Kong as a market, still, Hong Kong has one of the highest financial literacy across the region. If you look at Japan, even some a developed country across Asia, 60% of all their money is still in savings, and that's cash, just like cash. But Hong Kong, you know, there's so much investment involved. People are very, in general, I mean, literally, if you go down the street, cash any people, even like housewives who are not working, I'm sure she'll give you a couple numbers and she'll tell you to invest in them. And I think that speaks a lot to our financial literacy and to how people understand investing, and ultimately that translates to money made by financial firms in the region. And Hong Kong still has maybe 50%, if not more. And the other part about finance is it's also quite diverse, right? Like, I mean, I worked in investment banking, private banking, there's corporate banking, there is treasury. A lot of that function is also in Hong Kong. So, I mean, where there's a lot of opportunities and establishments here also means a lot of talents. So I think all of those kind of like, to us, made a lot of sense of using Hong Kong as a FinTech hub and exploring those opportunities, because we have to have somebody who pays for our bills, and we have to have people who are making money to pay for our bills. So I think that kind of concludes where we are looking at Hong Kong as a FinTech aspect, why we chose Hong Kong.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I can talk by using my experience in the banking industry. I've been working in all kinds of banks, and then I would say that there are so many things you can improve in the bank. Banks are really like, say, because they are conservative, and then you have a lot of like manual process still in the bank. You have so many like say inefficient in the bank. So you will see that that we always talk about first mover advantage, but then we also look at the late mover advantage. Look at Ant Financials. They start from nothing. They don't have any burdens. So then they can really build something out from scratch, and then you can adopt the latest technology. So for banks in Hong Kong, I think one of the most important, or one of the main area is still underdeveloped, is the regulatory technology, RegTech. We talk about that. How do we like improve that the say suitability, and then that the customer risk profiling, all kinds of things is done extensively manually. If you think of a solution that can actually help the bank to do that, they are much happy to like spend money onto your project, because that, you know, that how much can you make from an ordinary investor? So for example, if you invest like say $1 million of the transaction in shares, you charge 0.25% of brokerage. How much talking about? If you done it wrongly, because you like say acquire a customer which is not fit for that the risk profile, then you end up fined by the like regulator 100 million, 1 billion in US. So then you will see that banks are trying not to like say develop their business. They need to like rebuild the infrastructure, making sure that the infrastructure is solid. So then what I think that if you have like look into the different areas of that the FinTech, I think RegTech is the area you should really look at lately. Yeah.
Very interesting. And actually, I want to kind of follow up on this one, and at the same time ask a somewhat more challenging question now. Sam just now mentioned that in China, recently you find that a lot of people are not using cash anymore, and then they are using digital payment solutions. Whereas in Hong Kong, we are not. When we have Octopus, which seems to be too good a solution that holds us back. So this is related to a phenomenon that I'm thinking is more like leapfrogging. So in China, they basically leapfrog. They skipped the Octopus generation. And then they can directly move into something newer because they don't have any burden, or they don't have really any old technology that they were relying on. Whereas in Hong Kong, we seem to be facing some inertia. That some existing generation of technology seems to be satisfying a lot of people, and as a result, they hold them back. So in that sense, I actually see this kind of like a barrier to how we can move on with further FinTech development in Hong Kong. how are we going to be able to get away from this? Like, for example, is ICO or cryptocurrency really going to help us in moving people away from octopus card? It doesn't seem like it's coming, at least in the very near future, from what I see right now. So what do you think about this one?
Maybe I can answer your question first
Okay,
after
good.
Sam. So I think that for here, then we are, if you are going to, like, say, to be one of the so-called maybe the innovator role, chief digital officer in the bank, you can hardly do anything because the bureaucracy and all kinds of like clearance within the compliance and legal and all kinds of senior management. However, if you are moving it from the startup point of view, you can really interrupt and then to think out of the box, building it from scratch. So then you can really easy to give some value to the bank, and then they are very happy to try it because you have the label of startup. HKMA is so happy seeing that startup, so then they go to Sandbox. You are much on the free hand to innovate or to disrupt the industry. So I think then rather than going to apply for the CDO, Chief Innovation Officer in the bank, you go for a startup if you have a very good idea that can help the banking industry to solve their ping pongs. That's what I'm saying, that it's still another way we can try to help the Hong Kong innovate. Maybe Sam?
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's issue in Hong Kong. If we're just looking from a technology point of view, right, as I pointed out earlier, there's two bottlenecks in Hong Kong. Small market, right, and slow adoption, right? Because in any tech, R&D is about economy of scale, right? Just think about the money you can put in an R&D project for 7 million people to 70 million people, right? It's totally different, right? So across the border, Shenzhen is 20 million people. So it's totally different scale. But beyond the technology, right? Oh, okay, so even for the technology, what I suggest is for companies in Hong Kong, they should look beyond just Hong Kong market, right? Because this world, if you talk about technology, is a global market. Why we cannot develop something for the global market, right? Even for China, or for US, for Europe, right? So like just think about like now more and more people are using overseas services like Amazon, right? Like, you know, Spotify, right? Before it's different, right? So this is one way you look at it. The other way is, apart from the technology, we can focus on process. Business process is Hong Kong have an advantage because of the efficiency, because of the society or the setup. So this goes back to Jonathan's point about solving the bank's business process. And guess what? A lot of the company operating in Hong Kong is international company, right? Say, for example, if UBS adopt your solution, there will be chances they will be using in other market as well, right? So that's another opportunity right there.
Bianca?
I'll add on that point quickly. I think we look at an incumbent technology versus a new technology, not because it's a new technology, then you need to use it. And I think there are a lot of good reasons why Octopus is a better technology than, say, an e-wallet, right? And I think where we usually approach this is whether this is a genuinely better solution. And it happens a lot in our bot space, because a lot of times filling out a form is easy enough. Why do you need to add this extra layer of a bot to kind of do that? It's kind of repetitive. So I think that is a really important point to look at. But I think looking at Hong Kong, we see a lot of the banking executives, like the CEO, chairmans, and I realize a lot of them felt in the past 10 years, Hong Kong has stagnated. And I think that also gives us a lot of pressure. They're like, you know, like, you guys are an AI company, tell us how we can use all this data, you know, let's do this, right? Like, there's a lot of that efficiency, which I really like in Hong Kong meetings, right? Because they're quite quick. It's not that you need to, you know, figure out a very long time. You know, when they had budget, they would do it. And I think that is a beauty in terms of, you know, kind of getting things started. But yeah, and I think there is an opportunity for us as a smaller startup also, because if China, you really look at build versus buy. And a lot of companies, because it has the size, they would build and they would not buy. And I think for a smaller startup, it actually makes sense for Hong Kong to be, I mean, at least a start, and then you also go to other Asian markets. And Hong Kong also is extremely expensive in terms of hiring, right? I'll definitely know that. And if you just look at other Asian countries, sometimes their wage is still 1/5 of what we have. And it still makes sense to throw people at the problem. So I think that's where Hong Kong is at this kind of awkward stage, but also I think it kind of gives, structurally, it does give us an advantage for a smaller company to survive, at least for now.
I just want to add one more thing, because my example about business process, right? So I make another very concrete example. Not sure if you notice in the hotel now there's a phone called handy phone, right? Handy phone. It's actually solving the process. It's not much technology in there, right? It's an Android phone, preloaded with an app, right? That connect to IP phones, like a WhatsApp phone can give you free phone calls and a couple of coupons, right? But it solved the process and the problem of people when they're traveling, they go buy a SIM card, it's trouble, they don't carry their Wi-Fi dongle. It's really innovation on the business process than a technology. And this company is very successful. You go to many countries now, they are using handy phones. And recently, Foxconn just invest in the company, so it's a $1 billion company now.
Okay, I think we are running kind of out of time, and I've asked enough already. So why don't we open the floor now and see if there will be any question from the audience? Anybody who wants to ask the panelists any question that you have in mind now? Yes, over there.
Hello. Hello. Oh yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Jun. I'm quite interested about this fintech. We have like a lot of competitors, right? I'm like in cryptocurrency you have like 1,000. Even you mentioned Goldman. We have OneGold. We got DGX. We have like and chatbots is we have like really a lot of competitors. How do you keep finding that competitive advantage, or how to survive in this kind of industry? I mean, like in this kind of situation, how do you keep finding that competitive advantage? Maybe that's my questions. Thank you.
I can definitely address to that. Yes, so there are a lot of competition in our industry. I think where is a competitive edge? That is something we think about on a daily basis. We do a lot of competitive due diligence as well. And I think actually the best answer to that is just be yourself and do really well at what you do. So just deliver to your clients, reply to their emails, reply to their phone calls, get your proposals out there, promote your name. And I think you're just continuously and consistently doing that as a team and building your team and making sure the best people join you. And I think, there's a lot of noise out there. Every day there's a new chatbot company. But, what they're looking at might not be exactly the same. And to my, I'm really happy about this, but actually a lot of our clients is actually our best corporate spies, right? Like they would tell you every single detail of their pricing, of their, where they're at, how many people they have, what technology do they have. And people are quite often dissatisfied with what they have. And we recently had actually 2 brands from competitors to changing into our platform. And I think it is important to consistently deliver that good work in terms of a competitive landscape, right? Because I think nothing really trumps over execution. And there is a lot of noise, and there still is. And it is important sometimes to take a step back and look at your space. What does it mean? What do clients eventually want? Are you really, accomplishing what they want? Are you really helping them to save time? And I think it's important sometimes to take a step back and just ask those fundamental first principle questions, whether that really fits it. So, yeah, so again, I think that is really important, at least for our space. I'll let other panelists add to that.
Anything to add?
Okay, I think, is industry competitive? Yes, definitely, right? Is it saturated? Far from. right? So we look from different aspects. This is a new industry, and there's so many opportunity. Many people doing one thing doesn't mean there's no opportunity in other areas. So I think we just need to be not just innovative, but have a continuous innovation, right? One story I learned from my China partners is very interesting. So as we all know, in China, there's no really real protection of patent, right? But in a way, it gives them an advantage. Because why? Companies in US, once they file patents, they basically sit there for 20 years to collect cash, right? And it makes them lazy sometimes, right? In China, because no patent, the company have to survive, they have to continuously innovate, right? They launch something, somebody copy, and they launch something else. So it actually forced them to innovate. And you know, so that's one way that you can, you know, differentiate from your competitive.
I only speak for myself, just 2 points. One is like Bianca said, be yourself. And then the second thing is customer focus. Make sure then your solution is fit for purpose.
Very good. Do you have other questions? Yes, please.
Hi, this is William. How can we actually convince the general customers about the securities of the cryptocurrency? Because at the moment, what holding back is a lot of the user, they're afraid of the e-wallet not being secure, the tokens or the cryptocurrency being stolen by hackers. How can we educate users in Hong Kong or on this subject?
Very good question. I think Sam is the best person to answer since you're promoting for Ethereum.
Well, I think you make a very good description of your questions is education, right? So by saying that, meaning, is it secure now? It is secure. A lot of time it's the education, right? So for example, as I mentioned, Bitcoin, it has been around since 2009. Nobody can crack it, right? So if you're a Bitcoin holder, you're not worried tomorrow there's another 20 million holder out there and dilute your currency. It's not gonna happen, right? Because there's no counterfeit money, right? But yet the security issue on the wallet, as you say, but the best practice now is actually when there's so-called a cold wallet and a hot wallet, right? When your wallet is on your PC or your phone, is the hot wallet, it's connected to the network. The best practice now is that when you download your digital currency, is actually saved it offline in a USB, right? Because it's your bar of gold. Is sitting on your computer is different from the computer record, right? Because remember, like in the centralized model, the bank send you a statement. It's just a record. If your bank statement got stolen, you got nothing to lose because your money is with the bank. And imagine this is decentralized, right? Your wallet, the token, is actually the asset. So what will you do, right? You will put it in a safe, in your drawer, and don't connect online because there will be a hacker coming in to steal your token. It's true. But this is something, is the education process. But I think in the future, of course, you know, there will be better security measure that have more secure wallet. But I will still think it's not a good practice, for example, because it's very valuable, right? One Bitcoin now is $30,000. Will you leave $30,000 cash in your PC, right? It's not wise, right? So it's really, you should put it offline in your drawer, things like that. So I think if you think back, for example, like online shopping, online payment, right? If we back in 2005 and 4, people still worry about online shopping, online security, the credit cards, but it's actually saved. right? What is not safe is when you leave your credit card numbers, like the online payment, the payment gateway is saved. What is not safe is sometimes people leave the credit card number on the PC, right? And that information got stolen, right? So it's also an education process. You shouldn't leave your credit card or password in the PC, just the same way. So I think, yes, that's need to be a lot of more education.
Let me add on to this answer by giving you a very simple analogy. I think the protection of your cryptocurrency is like the protection of your Hong Kong dollar note inside your wallet. So the note itself is always intact, it's always safe. The problem is how you put it inside your wallet and where you place your wallet. It's exactly the same in cryptocurrency. The currency itself is always safe. It's a matter of how you protect your wallet. So I guess that's where the problem lies. So you just have to make sure that you protect your wallet well. Anyway, do we have any other questions? Yes.
So apart from cryptocurrency, I mean, this is just.
Yeah, so the question is like, apart from cryptocurrency, what are the promising areas for blockchain? Because cryptocurrency is just one part of blockchain, but there could be potential usage. What do you think, like, is there any opportunity in Hong Kong for any other aspect of blockchain to be successful?
I think that people use the word blockchain, but then in the financial industry, they call it distributed ledger technology, DLT. So you will see that the white paper is published in the HKMA website. So then there are a lot of applications, for example, like mortgage valuation, like LCs, trade financing, they are all using the DLT technology now. So then you can think of a lot of like different technology, even say, from the identity of a turkey, that from the farm to your table, you can have all the blockchain record about where is it coming from. You have all this now and the DLT. So easiest way to explore it is because our topic today is FinTech. You go to HKMA website, they have like 2 white paper on the DLT. You will have a lot of reads on that.
I'll add really quickly to that. I think actually recently HKMA made an announcement. I think actually last week, yeah, by Norman Chan. And I think they were talking about quite virtual banks, which is one of the first ones. And I think virtual banks comes with digital account opening. So how do you not visit a branch? And now they require all this like CTC, which is certified true copy, and it's extremely expensive. You know, are there a lot of, say, like fraud protection? And then I think that can also lie on KYC, which is like know your clients. So I think that can also be an application of where blockchain would be. So I think those, you know, look at the new, I think definitely HKMA on the white papers, but also they had a lot of new announcement. Other than a sandbox, is actually there are quite a few new initiatives, and how do banks need to adopt to that and think kind of from that perspective? I think that would be extremely interesting in terms of looking at the opportunities.
I totally agree with Jonathan. So we should focus on the distributed ledger technology, right? A rule of thumb, right? We talk about disruption, right? So a rule of thumb is in any industry, you look in any industry, if an industry now have a lot of intermediate, middle people, right? And it's very scatter, right? All the system, right, are separate. So there will be opportunity for blockchain or DLT. And you can think of some model to create disruptive, right? So one of the examples shared earlier, this company GetCoin, when they're doing coupon, right, is because they look at this, many corporations doing their own coupon system. Each coupon doesn't talk, right? And that's the opportunity they see. They try to launch something because public blockchain, right? It become a bridge of all the separate system linking together, right? So with the same rule of thumbs, you can think about different industry. I'm sure you can think of something I never think of. So, you know, if you have new idea, feel free to share and we can have more exchange.
I am actually the contrarian here. I dislike the term DLT. I think it doesn't do justice to the blockchain technology. To me, well, I teach blockchain in my executive classes, and the way I characterize blockchain is that it's basically a distributed database with 100% integrity and without the need of a centralized organizing agency. If you can think of any other businesses whereby there is these several characteristics can help you, I think you can use blockchain. It doesn't have to be a ledger. It doesn't have to be a distributed ledger. It can be any other any other business applications where you need 100% foolproof integrity. And without a central organizer, I think blockchain can help you. That's the way how I would put it. Any other questions? No? Okay, then I guess it's time for us to close this panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.